Welcome everybody to the channel and the Denver Broncos franchise. Today we're going to recap the Super Bowl winning Season 6. This was a pretty special season, and I had forgotten just how long it's been since a franchise on this channel won a Super Bowl. The last one was in the Chargers franchise almost 3 years ago. So this Super Bowl, was a long time in the making. And it was one of the, most rewarding Super Bowl victories I think we've had on the channel, just considering the road to the championship with this team through the first 6 years of the series, and then even this year, where it looked like, okay, we start out hot and don't even have our starting quarterback. This might be a cakewalk. And then, obviously, the back half of the schedule here humbled us a little bit, and I wasn't too sure, sometimes when I'm playing these games, I feel really confident and things are rolling, but there are also times where I just don't have any confidence, and I think it matters. There have been a lot of times in this game where I just feel like I have no shot of doing anything good. That was primarily in the Adam Kane, Hudson Brook days, but this stretch here, I just couldn't figure out what the problem was. Well, I knew what the problems were, but I just could not figure out how to fix them. But great season. We're going to recap it all today and get things ready for Season 7 of the Denver Broncos franchise. And yes, this series will be continuing. Most of you are aware, I am not interested in doing a Madden 21 franchise right now. Franchise mode is just unchanged from this year to the next. And we have a great team here. We have a great universe with so many players on a variety of teams that we've become invested in. And I don't feel anywhere near done telling the stories for these players. Of course, Blackjack made a number of great draft classes for this series, and we're beginning to see so many of those players become top tier at their positions. We have Jesse Heikkinen and Oliver Raymond, along with Brandon Warren here at the top at quarterback. And at running back, a little bit slower progress here, but there's Jayshawn Warfield and Jarquez Towns. These guys are going to have really big roles and chances to put together some really great careers. And there are players at every position that I'm interested in following. So thank you all for your support. I know that, continuing this franchise and not doing something on the new game is not something that I typically do. But I think it's just, best right now that we continue this series. I enjoy playing the game. The slider set here, I think, is pretty dialed in, and I really enjoy the games that we're getting. And not doing the whole slider process on Madden 21, is pretty nice, not having to worry about all the hours to pour into that. I mean, I have, like 5 hours left still on my Madden 21 trial. I'm just not playing the game, and that's all I have right now is the trial. And I still haven't run out of hours on there. I got over 3-4 times the playtime on PGA 2K21 this year. So that kind of tells you where things are at. But I'm enjoying, playing other games and making content, that I'm excited for. And that's always important to me, because if I'm not excited, then I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of it. So, let's get into the recap, everybody. Great season. Let's talk about it. I talked a lot about this season being the pivotal one in our championship window, and that's because we just had such a complete roster, but also we were relying on so many veterans and players on their rookie contracts. And when you are relying on that combination, you know that your status can be very temporary, because those veterans will retire and those rookie contract guys will now see their prices for their play skyrocket. And that's exactly where this roster has been at, and I like how I've built the team. There are a lot of key signings here that I didn't realize at the time just how impactful they would be. I mean, we bring in Myles Jack after the first year of the series, and imagine this series without him. All the plays he's made, are you kidding me? There's no replacing Myles Jack or finding someone that can duplicate these kinds of results. If you look at 2020 and on, that's all in the series, and he's just been arguably the most valuable player through that entire span of time. But We also have Boogie Turner, who is still on that rookie contract, and he's one of those guys that made this Super Bowl window what it was. He's put up massive numbers in his first 3 seasons, and of course, he's going to see big money coming his way pretty soon. DeAndre Hopkins is 33, and he had some really steep regression after last year, so I was actually really happy with how he played this season because his ratings just got so much worse. But what happened to the stats? They got so much better outside of touchdowns. That's just wild. He goes from a touchdown every 6.3 catches to one every, that is 19.4. So the touchdown rate way down while yardage is way up. The volume got considerably higher, but touchdowns were just low. I throw him a lot of 50-50 balls though, so sometimes, if it's on your side, you rack up the touchdowns quick. Otherwise, not so much. Bradley Chubb is 29 years old. Obviously, he'll be regressing. Von Miller, this is the last year of his career. We got the notification at the end of the Super Bowl episode that Von Miller will be retiring, and we knew that was going to happen based on the scenario we got at the beginning of the playoff run. Darnell Savage is set to be a free agent. Curtis Samuel is set to be a free agent. Darius Slay, a free agent, and he's going to be 35 years old. So you can just see how important this year was. And that's without considering the fact that Taquan Layton, he is, now a free agent at the end of this episode, basically. And we're going to have to decide what to do with him. Obviously, we win the Super Bowl, so do you go long-term contract? Right now, I'm thinking I still want to do the franchise tag. It was a very up and down season for him, and I want to see what a Taquan Layton-led Broncos team looks like when he's at least making franchise tag money and we're losing talent at other positions, because all of a sudden now he needs to raise his game to make it for the loss of everybody else. And he's still, at an age where he can progress, especially with superstar development. It may be slower, but it's still possible to get his ratings up. Sorry, I'm going in and out of menus so much here. But the accuracies look good here on paper, but obviously if you watch back the games, there are, some inconsistencies in his play. And there have been a couple knocks on his game that I've, not really liked throughout his career. It's like the accuracy, consistency, and his throwing motion is very long. And I don't edit that kind of stuff, it's part of the player's skill set. Sometimes they have a release that's quick. Sometimes Layton, for instance, has a longer windup. But it was big for us to have Cam Newton this year. If you're tracing a Super Bowl, you better have a QB2 that is at least serviceable, and Cam was more than that for us this year. If I could have limited the interceptions, that would have been nice with him, but it was still pretty fun to go through the games with him. I know that last start he had before Layton came back was like his top of the year, and I wish I had more games like that, because Cam's fun to play with. His accuracy, from my memory, was more consistent than Layton's, and was very comfortable playing with him, and we ran the same offense, essentially, having him out there. If we take a look at the schedule, I really did not have a good idea of what these first 8 games would be like, because to me, the tough section was supposed to be Chargers through the second meeting with the Chargers. We went 3-0-1 in those games, when it turned out the Raiders and Steelers were the two really, tough opponents for us here, and we played closer games against them. The Falcons, I thought, after a Super Bowl would be fine, but they slumped hard this season. And one thing that I thought was so interesting was the Raiders, while we swept them, you can't deny the progress they made this year. And then the Chiefs, they swept us. So could next year be more interesting in the AFC West? We've been waiting for this Broncos-Chiefs rivalry to heat up. I don't know if it's ever going to really happen, but next year I think is the most intriguing for the AFC West in the entire series. All right, take a look at the stats, and the passing numbers are just not that great. Combined 23 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. Just a bad ratio once again. Could not avoid the INTs for most of the season. On the ground, Obviously, a three-headed rushing attack this year, and Marion Peppers has proved to be the most durable running back that we have. And ever since we saw Phillip Lindsay have injuries in the first couple years, like, durability has always been something I focused on here at the running back position, and Peppers just flat out doesn't miss many games. His rookie year was shortened by injury, but last 3 years he's played all 16. That's a big reason why I gave him the contract. You gotta have availability at running back, and that's where obviously Donovan Jennings has not been able to stay consistent. He's an awesome player when he's on the field, but it's all about how often is he on the field. So I cannot see us giving him a long-term contract, even if he were to play like all 16 games next year. Like, what does it take? There's obviously an outcome where if Jennings, reaches, he would get paid, but what is it? I think it's playing all 16 and rushing for like 1,300 yards and like 10 touchdowns and having a big reason why we win a couple games. But at this stage, I mean, he's missed so many games. He'll be on the team next year. We're going to decline the 5th-year option this offseason, and we'll see what happens. But right now, Peppers is going to be our lead back most likely. And then, do we bring back Anthony Hampton? It's going to be interesting to see how the cap fits together this season, because there are veterans on their way out probably, but I'm leaning towards the franchise tag of Leighton, which is going to significantly increase his salary. So do guys like Hampton become, just guys that can't fit? Because I loved having him on the team this year, but he's going to want $5-6 million a year. And I'd have to think he gets it, because I imagine he'll be one of the top-rated backs on the open market. He had a great year for us. He was a big play threat. That speed element is something that's super nice to have, and if we lose him, I'll want to replace his skill set with somebody very similar. So, I'm open to bringing him back. I just don't think it's likely. And this is one of those things that you can only do and only pull off when so many of your best players are on rookie contracts. And for us, I mean, it's really two players that we were counting on there, Leighton and then Boogie Turner. When those players can play at their level on their salaries, you can afford Cam Newton as a backup quarterback. You can afford to go 3 deep at running back, but that's not as easy to acquire all that depth when the salary cap is actually spent on your starters. So this draft class upcoming is going to be really key, because some of these roles will have to be filled by rookies. And of course, that's always exciting, but also very uncertain. Maybe Sung-Ho Kwok moves back to running back next year and gets more of a chance. I had him listed at quarterback. I didn't really end up using those packages a lot, although I figured out the Taysom Hill package in the game, and it's kind of cool, but there are only a handful of plays. So I just didn't go to it very often, especially with 2 quarterbacks who could pick up rushing yards already and get outside the pocket. So Sung-Ho Kwok, we'll see what happens next year. Well, he just got a little bit faster there, and 2 acceleration. That's a pretty incredible boost. So he's going to have a shot probably to replace Hampton, but there will be competition. Before we move on from the running backs quick, Marion Peppers has gotten better with every season in terms of his yards per carry. That's really promising to see. Catches the football pretty well, but I don't throw it to my backs a lot in this game, just in the state Madden's in right now. Just the speed at which players get upfield, combined with some of the speeds of the throwing animations and the defensive reactions. Like, I just don't end up liking the running back checkdowns in here. Otherwise, it probably would be the Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey show if I, felt it would work better. Anthony Hampton here, obviously we loved him. And I wanted to point out here with DJ just how the efficiency has actually gotten worse with each season. So, 96 carries this year, only 1 reached 25 yards. And part of Jennings' game is he's a big play threat. And he needs to be a big play threat if I'm limiting his carries. The most carries he got in a game this year was 15. I definitely, keep Jennings on a pitch count. And it's kind of hard to manage because I want him to be the lead back. But if I run him 4 or 5 times on the first drive, it's like, all right, from here on out, it's basically the Marion Peppers show. So, I don't know. I'm going to find another running back this offseason, though, I imagine. Let's go wide out here. Hopkins, man, what a signing. I paid him a ton, and most of the time you make a move like this, it doesn't totally work out. I mean, he's making low-end QB1 money as a wide receiver in his mid-30s. And he's absolutely been worth every penny for his 2 years so far in Denver. Now, I don't think he'll retire after this season, but I'm very worried about that regression. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the episode, I will go through regression. And before I get too much further, off-season stream this Saturday. We'll go through it again, have some fun, and get this team ready to roll. How much longer will the franchise go? No idea. But regardless, Super Bowl win or not, I want to see what's next. I want to see me have to figure out these salary issues and the whole cap situation with this team, and if we can, repeat or come close on a team that's vastly different, I imagine, from our Super Bowl winning team. Curtis Samuel, set to be a free agent. He's one of those guys we have to make a very key decision on. I haven't offered a contract, obviously, because I'm not sure we can afford it, but also he's going to be regressing, and I just want to see how much. I'd love to have him back. He's been really good for us in the 4 years in this series, or actually it's been 5. But I don't know that we're going to be able to bring him back. Hakeem Butler, I think I could have given him more of a role. He obviously was a great contested catch wide receiver. Had a couple years where he put up good numbers with us. I imagine we'll be moving on this offseason because we have some young guys that I think are ready to take on some snaps. Dalton Schultz, nice 1-year contract here, totally paid off for us. I brought him in because he was an above average blocker, and I don't really feature my tight ends a lot in the passing game. Still, he ends up with as many touchdowns as DeAndre Hopkins and was mostly reliable. He's just not a vertical threat. That's okay. Deion Price. I really tried to get him more snaps late in the year. I wasn't really getting a lot going with Hakeem Butler. He's mostly a red zone guy, so I tried to see, last-ditch effort here to get Price going because he's also a free agent after this season and not a very cheap one. So he's looking at a demand of around $6 to $7 million a season, and there's just no way you're going to get me to pay that, even though he's younger, has upside, and could directly replace Curtis Samuel's role. I just don't see me going 3 years, $21 million or more to bring back Price while I'm so unsure, and I just haven't seen what I need to see from him. The ratings are really good, but I mean, he needs to be a big play threat, and we just haven't had those in a couple of years. Nothing over 28 yards. I can get that production from 100 other receivers. I need the big plays, and they're just not happening anymore. Vashawn Wright did not get much playing time this year. We're pretty deep at wide receiver, so that was kind of to be expected, but he had that big catch in the playoffs. I'd expect him to have a very big role next season, and there's one more receiver that could find himself in a big role as well, and that is Tyrone Houston. Now, he's a superstar. I just now saw that for the very first time. 73 overall with a 1 morale boost. Somehow, we got lucky, and he made the Pro Bowl. This will happen from time to time with certain guys. He made the Pro Bowl and got like 4 upgrades at the same time. So, next year will be his second with us, and with these ratings, he's going to get a shot. Maybe replacing Deion Price. I also think that Levi Summers is going to have the starting role next season. He has superstar development. I don't think I saw that before. I think he can replace Dalton Schultz quite well. I'm still working on that blocking rating, but 64 at tight end I think is pretty average. And hey, we can't wrap this up without talking about Jason King. I mean, we went and made changes to the offense. We basically only ran shotgun last year, and all of a sudden now we have a fullback, and the I form and strong I packages are back. And I played Jason King a lot, and we used him in a variety of ways. So how many snaps did he get as a rookie? 403 downs? That's like 40% play time. So the offense changed a lot this year, and part of that is just because Jason King is such a good fullback already, and I liked running power behind him. It was really effective. So that's going to be something that's just a part of the offense going forward. We use a fullback big time now. He got about as many snaps as our second tight end, Josh Oliver. So that kind of shows you how we're running the offense here. Don't run a lot of twin tight end. From time to time we do, but we'll run, you know, some I form with 2 receivers and then go to our shotgun stuff. Oh yeah, we're going to get to see Colt Sully next year. He has star dev. Unfortunately, his year was cut short in the preseason due to injury. So while we may lose Butler and Samuel, we got a lot of guys here who can fill in. Probably losing Price too. For the offensive line, I've been kind of disappointed here with Norman Proctor. I wish he was more consistent in pass protection. That's kind of why I drafted him. So we'll just have to see if I want to keep him around. I know we could do a lot worse, but I think he's more average than above average. Hillhouse gave up 13 sacks, Andrews 11. The right side had a lot more trouble this year than our left. Lindsey Muldrow, he might be the offensive lineman of the entire series. Like, he was just, you know, an early season trade because I had to look for an upgrade, and he's just been rock solid. He's a pass blocker and a really good run blocker. I brought him in primarily, I think, for his run blocking, but he's been the most well-rounded lineman I think we've had, outside of like having Trent Williams. But I really like having him. I think he is one player I just would not let go. Simon Robbins, traded for him, and I didn't really notice him becoming a problem throughout the years, so I think that Robbins will stick around. I can't remember his exact contract situation. Might be due a new deal, and I'd likely make that deal. Now let's go defense. This team relied a lot on their defense. Boogie Turner, Von Miller, great pass rush season. Great to have Miller back. He wins back-to-back rings now in the series, last year with the Falcons. I did give Eric Palmer some playing time, and his sacks, like his highlight tape, is really nice. Probably should have gotten him a few more snaps than that. Got Cam Smithson 209. I do a lot of manual substitutions to get guys snaps, and I like how it plays out. Bradley Chubb was a lot more inconsistent this year. I'd like to see more from him next year, but I think that we'll see Palmer, Chubb, Boogie, and then the combo of Charles and Smithson. Smithson ended up being the Super Bowl MVP, actually. And he's played a lot of snaps, 209, to only have a few tackles. So I guess we're only seeing pass rush impact from him. Just something to keep in mind, and something I'm not too surprised about. He's one of those lower strength defensive tackles, and that's an important rating for the run game. So he's just really a sub-package pass rusher only. I do think I could do a better job of rotating him and Charles next year, just because Charles is a much better run defender, and Smithson I like better as a pass rusher. So we'll see those snaps even out a bit more, I think. And let's talk about Jamari Akinjide. He finally got the interceptions, and in the postseason, I had to make a couple changes. I put him at linebacker specifically for that first matchup we had. It worked so well, I don't think he's leaving linebacker even next season. So that's kind of bad news for a great player in Christian Baxter, because we're only going to play 2 linebackers a lot. So I think if we needed to, Baxter becomes an interesting player that could be traded. I don't think we'll need to. And it's not because his salary is too much. It's mostly because I think we could probably get something for him when he's mainly a 2-down player if Jack and Akinjide play the nickel, and that's what they're going to be. And Akinjide now becoming more full-time linebacker kind of means that I might want to bring back Darnell Savage, because if Akinjide is not playing safety, I need 2. Savage is set to be a free agent. He's been really good for us and also isn't demanding huge money. We also have Xavier Watts, who is probably our postseason MVP. Like, he is just a really good safety, and I think he's a better safety than Akinjide. Akinjide is a better, overall football player, and he's just so good at run defense, and when he can patrol the middle, he is so good there. But I think Watts just hands down is a better cover safety, and he's earned a starting role. Cornerback was interesting this year. Damian Charles. This was the year we've been waiting for and building towards with him. The numbers just won't do it justice here. Like, he was a shutdown corner. You could not get many big plays against him this year. He only allowed a couple of touchdowns, and to see what he was doing while Slay was struggling on the other side only showed just the progress he's made. Slay's ratings are good, but he doesn't have that speed anymore. He was not very good in press coverage this season, constantly got beat off the line and did not have that makeup speed. And press coverage is going to be a huge part of my scheme here. I love playing press coverage at corner, and it opens up so much of what I try to do. And it helps me also, I found on like NCAA. When I'm in press coverage, that's where my zone blitzing is a lot more effective, because those corners aren't giving up like a 7-yard cushion or anything. So it's harder to hit that quick throw when you face that pressure. You got to hold on to the football a little bit longer. And when you have good pass rushers and you bring in 5, somebody should get through. I want to be able to blitz more. I haven't been a heavy blitzer in this game, but if I could trust our press coverage more, I guarantee we'd see a lot more blitzing. So that's going to be the direction we look to go in. Damian Charles, Eric McKinney, and probably JT Granger. Now, Charles, his press rating here isn't all that great, but it didn't seem to be a problem at all when we played. But obviously it was for Slay. If you watched the season, I think you'd think the same thing. JT Granger didn't play a lot this year, but it was supposed to be more of a developmental season for him, and we'll see what kind of a role he gets, because his skill set, looks more like a safety. So if he had to kick out to free safety, that would work, but it would open up a hole at corner when we're already looking at that spot as kind of a concern. Trey Betts, like him as depth. I think that's all I really want to talk about here for the defense. Kicking, Rory, 48 kicks, super busy this season. How many of those were over 50? 10 of 13, or never mind, 13 for 15. Had a whole bunch of those long attempts. Another stat I like to look at is how much are we punting? Only 41 here for Colby Wadman, and that is much better than we've seen recently. We punted far less than any time in the series. All right, going through some league leaders here. Obviously, we're up against Mahomes and Kenny Kessler for 25% of our schedule. They were amazing this year. Kessler is definitely, a game changer, I think, here in Oakland. Yeah, that morale boost is +3, keep in mind, but X Factor, he'll be at a true 85 before too long. He already has 95 short accuracy. Kenny Kessler's going to be a problem. Here are the top players, though, in terms of yardage. Kind of a down year for the Chargers, but not for Oliver Raymond. This division is getting real tough now. I can't wait to see it next year, because I think legitimately any of the 4 teams could take it. Jesse Heikkinen led the league in interceptions at 18. That's a bit of a surprise. Of course, the receiver situation in Miami hasn't been ideal. Zeke here, 1,800 plus yards. He leads the league every year. Here are all the 1,000-yard rushers. Jayshon Warfield certainly on the rise. Benny Huggins, not all that efficient, but he got there with the Chiefs. Tariq Cohen, Kerryon Johnson. Receiving, DeAndre Hopkins, first in catches, I believe. Yep, and yards. Just way behind in touchdowns. Tyreek and Juju had 13 each. 10 for Trent Taylor and Taywan Taylor. I want to see what happens with Terrell Corville because he's a free agent after this year. And who doesn't want an 84 overall X Factor at 26 years old with these ratings? I mean, I might even offer a 1-year contract. We'll see what happens. But it was his breakout season, and Detroit did not give him the big money. Boogie led the league in sacks. I don't think that you had to be told that. He was so good this season. Looks like Kazimir Sokolov is developing nicely. 87 overall X Factor. Jordan Lewis led the league in interceptions, but Daniel Foster had 6 teammates here. 1 and 2 in the league. All right then, Daniel Foster has star development. That's a pretty good tandem they have there in Detroit. And the awards. Patrick Mahomes is your league MVP, and Kenny Kessler almost took it as a rookie. Doug Marrone is Coach of the Year after a 13-3 season. Pat Mahomes, Offensive Player of the Year. Raekwon McMillan is the defensive over Boogie Turner's 22.5 sacks. Kenny Kessler, Rookie of the Year. The Raiders had number 1 and number 2 in Rookie of the Year. Can't forget about Matthias Carter and his impact on that team's ascent. And Eric Outlaw wins it for defense. Very nice. Joaquin Ferreira. Like, come on, I gotta see these guys develop. This is such a good class of rookies. For positional awards, we'll go through this pretty quickly. Boogie Turner, Rory, nice. If we go to the NFC, Zeke, Amari Hendricks. Yeah, that Lions defense is kind of nice. Lameka Warwick wins the Offensive Rookie of the Year here. Keyshawn Clifford came in second. Daniel Foster, Defensive Rookie of the Year. And the positional awards. A Viking kicker winning an award? Really? Just a little bit more of the stats here. We had the number 3 ranked offense, but we could have done a lot more with our passing game. We're kind of a running team that plays good defense, though, so it's just kind of what happens. The run game was number 2 in the league this season. For scoring, we were top 4, not bad. For defense, we had our struggles at certain points, but I still felt like this was a very good defensive football team. We end up in the top 10 for pass yards allowed. Rush defense, you know, when we face Nick Chubb, it's not good. When we face him, there are a couple teams that can get the better of us, but overall, not bad. And for points allowed, we are around top 10. And number 1 in sacks, too, by a long shot, thanks to Boogie Turner. For conversions here, I know on third down we weren't good this year. Last place at 42%. That's going to happen when you take so many sacks. And then red zone efficiency. This is a spot where we've actually gotten worse defensively. We allowed a lot of defensive touchdowns this year. Relative to the trips, the rate is pretty good. But in the Super Bowl, no red zone touchdowns allowed. That was the big difference for us. Turnover differential. It's not going to be great. -10. Here's a career stat update. Cam Newton, a few games shy of reaching 50,000 passing yards. Taquan Layton is now over 10,000 with 50 career touchdown passes and 40 interceptions. Rushing, Marion Peppers, 2292. Donovan Jennings, 1825 with 15 touchdowns. Receiving, DeAndre Hopkins needs 9 more catches to reach that 1,000 catch milestone. That doesn't happen very often. Curtis Samuel, 27 touchdowns, and then a lot of inexperience here down the board. And for defense, Von Miller will retire, 175.5 sacks. And Boogie already has 49.5. For INTs, Darius Slay, 30 in his career, 10 for Miles Jack, 8 for Damian Charles. Well, I think with that, everybody, we can advance to the offseason, and this will set the stage for what we have next episode, which is the offseason stream this Saturday, looking at 2:00 p.m. Central Time. For retirements, Darius Slay has retired, and Von Miller should as well. Normally, teammates are listed together. So, Von Miller didn't retire. Alright then. Huh. He was supposed to. He's down here at 83 overall, so we'll see here what's up with that. For this year's regression, Bradley Chubb down 2, that's not much. Only 4 for Miles Jack, 14 for Curtis Samuel, 6 for Butler, 38 more for DeAndre Hopkins, but still a 91 overall player. His speed, though, down to 88. Andrews loses 9, Von Miller 17, Schultz 8, Oliver 2, Bo Lee 9, Cam 15, Cashman 7. And for the updated contract demands, leave your feedback down below. What do you think? Here are the contract demands. Ooh, Darnell Savage's went up, I think. I was kind of interested in bringing him back when it was at 5 a year, and now it's north of 6. We'll have to see. Curtis Samuel wants some big money. David Andrews wants 9. Hampton wants a little bit under 5. There's Leighton wanting 124. Deion Price, that's getting closer to $8 million a season. We got some big decisions. I do want to bring back Baldwin, but that's going to be more an open free agency. And what do we have for cap space to figure this all out? Right now we have 85 million in space, so we can certainly make some signings, but we have to keep in mind what's going to happen with Leighton, and we have to make sure we don't have too many long-term deals because we know Boogies is coming up soon, and it's going to be big. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for this episode in the Denver Broncos franchise. Thank you for continuing to support this series, and I hope you're excited for more to come because I think that we have a very interesting chapter coming up with this next offseason and regular season. So thank you all again. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your feedback below. Let me know what I should do in the offseason, and I'll see you all then on Saturday. Have a great day.